Hey, 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 everybody. Welcome, welcome. It's Friday Reads Live. And this is where we talk about what we're reading today, this weekend, and sometimes into the following. Today is the 14th of February. So I thought, why not have the queen of Black romance here with me? I've got DL in the house. Okay. So I'm really happy about that because we all need to know a little bit more about, the romance genre. Hola, hola Alba, how are
Hello.
you? Yeah, she goes, I just got right now is about romance. Girl, I'm just to say it's
It's
I was like,
okay. It's
oh
okay.
shit, it's 14th. Let's do romance thing.
It's okay.
All right. So let's just talk about what I'll talk about what I'm reading and DL, you'll tell us what you're reading.
All right.
So I am still reading Tumbling, but I only have like maybe another 50 pages to finish it. And I am also reading The Heaven and Earth Grocery Store by James McBride. This is fantastic. It's been really, really good. I started it yesterday, but I still have another 150 pages to read before tomorrow afternoon. So that's what I am reading today. So, DL, what are you reading?
I am reading. And I'm reading a advanced copy of Lula White's "Who's Loving You." It's like a throwback, like a '70s era
Sounds like
um,
the title. Yeah.
romance set in New York, but they're like a little upper crust from like so and so family versus so and so family.
Yeah.
I'm about halfway through. It's kind of decadent, moving a little slower than I like, but I like her writing, so I'm into it. And then I have Casey Mills. You Could Do Damage, which is another advanced reader copy. I think that's a romance, but I don't know because I don't read blurbs. So
Well, it's probably a good thing you don't read blurbs because they don't help nobody. They just confuse people in the end.
I'm like,
So,
that looks good. Casey Mills, give it to me. I'll take it.
yeah,
Yeah. So, and I just
appreciate
released a book
that.
today. I just released a book today called Grumpy Valentine. It's a workplace romance about people who meet at a co-working office space.
Hmm.
I don't know what they call it, but it's a building where there's a bunch of co-working spaces. And so they're both renting temporary office space, and that is where they meet.
Okay, well, that sounds all interesting. Let's see what the people are reading. So, everybody's in the house saying hello. We have Alba, Cher, Happy Valentine's, everybody. Tracy, Birdie, we have Curtis, we have Latrice, we have Alicia, Tracy. Everybody's in here. Okay. So what y'all reading? Hey, Tinley as well. We got Tinley in here as well. Happy Love Day. I like that. Happy Love Day. I think I must prefer that.
Love Day.
Um. Okay. So Birdie says starting erasure today and still working on if Bill Street could talk. Very nice. Okay. Thanks for stopping by, Tracy. Have a good weekend. Thank you. Okay. So as we go along, we'll see if other people say what they're reading. Cher said, almost halfway through How to Live Free in a Dangerous World by Shayla Lawson. And it's been
Mhm.
incredible so far. Literary travel memoir. Oh, okay. Travel memoir
Ooh,
with beautiful quotable prose. Very nice. That sounds interesting.
nice.
Let's see who else. Okay, wait for some more people to put in what they're reading. So while we're waiting for that, since you're here, DL, why don't you tell us how you started reading? Sorry, how you started writing, and how did you specifically start to write romance? Is that like the genre you went to first, or did you, do something else?
I did not start with romance.
Mhm.
I have always been a writer. I was just writing just like general fiction, short stories, what have you, um, papers for school, whatever. I started reading romance, I think because I read what my mom was reading, quite actually. If it was in the house and she was reading it, I also was reading it. So
Okay.
she loves, a mystery, a legal thriller, and she was reading like Sandra Brown,
Mhm.
Terry
Yeah.
McMillan,
Yeah.
all the, my mother is nearly 70. So, all those, old school type people, I was reading whatever she was reading. When I was old enough to buy my own books, I was reading a lot of thrillers, and then romance just seemed easier to
Mhm.
just like a quick shot, just something good in the face to read.
Okay.
Um, because I was reading it as I was writing stuff, it just seemed like a natural progression to kind of dip into romance. I
Mhm.
was also writing NSYNC fan fiction, which is
Okay.
heavily romance because
Yeah, yeah.
it's a lot of fantasy between
Mhm.
real people and celebrities.
Celebrities,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, and so I was reading NSYNC fiction, writing NSYNC fan fiction, which is heavily romance. But my first novel is actually a women's fiction with romantic
Okay.
elements because I think I just wanted to weave a little bit of literary fiction plus your romantic fiction. I just wanted to have like the full breadth of the experience of being a woman in your 30s in a city,
Okay.
whatever. So my first novel was actually women's fiction with romantic elements. However, you can't tell Beverly Jenkins that, as Bev Jenkins calls that book a romance. So if Bev
Okay.
Jenkins says it's a romance, it's a romance. It's not, but that's what she calls it. Cannot
Well,
correct
we're
Miss
gonna talk
Bev.
about that this distinction of romance and all the subgenres of that and what all this stuff actually means.
Yeah,
So we're
yeah.
gonna get to that very soon. Okay, so when did you publish your first book?
March 24th, 2015. So we are just about to hit
Wow.
10 years.
So how many books have you written so far?
I just released book 16.
Wow.
Um, I've released 16. I've written,
Probably
I
lots.
think
Yeah. More
we're
than that.
almost at
Yeah.
like 19 by now. I have one coming in the spring that's already written. I
Mhm.
have one coming in the summer that's written, needs to be edited. I have
Okay.
one coming in the fall. I've started, nowhere near done. So I think we're going to be at almost 20 by the end of the year.
So the one that's coming out in spring, what's it called? And can you give us like a little
That one's
idea of what it's about?
that one's called Calculated Risk. It is between a finance professional who is assigned to teach financial literacy to people who are about to graduate from high school. I used to work at an at-risk program, and so these are people who are at risk of not graduating high school, or
Okay.
like not completing, um, not completing their schooling, and so they
The
put them in
schooling,
this
yeah.
like incubator program to like kind of encourage them along and give them seminars and whatnot. And so I was kind
Mm.
of calling on that part of my past, and so. A finance professional is assigned to run financial literacy programs for these people who are about to graduate high school, and the man that runs this program is named Desmond. He is an ex-con, and I really love a cross-class romance. I love
Okay.
me cross class, like a two
Mhm.
different pillars coming
Yeah.
together and like discovering how they can be together despite their
Mhm.
differences. If you've ever read my book Dinner at Sam's, that's like a classic cross class between a stripper
Cross-class
and a attorney.
romance.
Yes. So that one's coming in the spring. I'm very excited about it. It's shorter, it's cute, steamy. It's a classic DL White novel, a classic DL
Okay.
White. So I'm excited about that
All
one.
right. There you have it, people.
Yeah.
It's coming out what, in March or April?
I don't know actually. It's part of a group project where a bunch of us write a book and some other program puts them out, and I don't
Okay.
have details on it. I just
Yeah.
know it comes out. I just know it's coming in the spring. But
Okay, cool.
I never shut up about my books, so I will
That's good.
definitely let everyone know.
And I will have all of DL's information linked below her website and her YouTube. So you
Mhm.
can always go there if you want to follow more about DL. Okay, let's see. Some people have been saying what they're reading. Tinley said, just finished A Few Rules for Predicting the Future by Octavia Butler. Okay, short but powerful read. It's an essay she wrote for magazine in 2000. Okay.
Oh,
And it
wow.
was published as a book
Yeah.
last year. Okay. I did not know. Bookish introvert. Hello, welcome. Immersion reading. This could be us. Harlem Rhapsody and Love, Honor, Betray. Okay. Birdie says she loves Beverly Jenkins. Latrice said nice. I think she wrote it when you were talking about your new book. Hello, Rosa. Welcome. What are you reading? Oh, yeah. So she's got her little book there.
I got this signed this year. She was at Essence Fest, so I got this signed
Oh,
this
very
year.
nice. Um, Hello, Nicole. How are you? Welcome. What are you reading? Okay, so let's continue with this romance discussion. Before we got on, we were talking about the differences in romance and smut and all these different subgenres and what they all mean and where they are on the spectrum of romance. So I am not a big romance reader. I think I've very made like a couple in my entire reading life. And so I was just interested in hearing more about this because I feel like every time I stumble over a conversation about romance, somewhere on threads or blue sky, they're always discussing either how much sex there should have been in the book but wasn't, or how
Yes.
cheesy they thought it was, or something like that. So let's have a little discussion about it. So tell us a little bit about, how you would class these different, subgenres of romance.
So I mean I'm no expert, but I know what I like. And I think readers need to know what they're looking for. You want you want intimacy in a novel, there are certain authors that you need to be reading. If you are reading Kathy Douglas, you are not going to get that. And so if you're reading Kathy, but you're upset that there's no intimacy in that novel, like you gotta know your authors and know what you're going for. Kathy's not going to write sex scenes because she doesn't like putting them
Yeah,
in her books.
yeah.
If you are squeamish about sex and you're a prude, but you're reading Alexandria House, you're gonna be mad because it's gonna be a lot of explicit sex in that novel. So first of all, I think readers need to know what you're looking for
I
and
know that
like
name.
yeah, look a little bit, into the catalog, read some reviews, figure out what the spice level is, because you can go from chaste, kiss on the cheek, hand holding Kathy Douglas to Zane, which is
Yeah,
erotica. This book
yeah.
ain't got no plot. They doing it from page 1 to 199.
I love it.
You want to be
Oh,
somewhere in the middle, or like, this end of the spectrum or that end of the spectrum. Like, know what you're looking for before you
yeah.
pick up something and think it's going to be, you know, sex riddled, or it's not going to have any sex in it at all. I The thing about romance is it's a big seller, and
Yeah,
everybody wants their book to be called a romance because there's a bigger chance of readers picking it up. Either
true.
they're gonna pick it up because like, haha, look at this mommy porn over here. I'm just gonna pick it up, just to check it out. I'm just gonna check it out. I mean, they're gonna
Mhm.
check it out, they're gonna buy it, they're gonna read it, they're gonna give
Yeah,
that reader page reads, they're gonna give that reader $2.99. They're just gonna check it out.
yeah.
Um, I forget where I was going with that.
Well, it is the genre that is the most bought,
It
you
is. It
know.
is a very popular genre.
It's a
So
big
people
seller
are gonna try to throw their book in the romance category. And the thing about
category, yeah.
romance is that it's vast. There's big R romance, which is just very plainly a story about two people, how they come together, what their conflict is, what do they want, why can't they have it, how do they get it, right off into the sunset. Big R romance. And then you have all your subgenres, your romantic suspense, your romantic fantasy, your romantic mystery, romantic comedy, romantic what have you. There's probably a subgenre. If you want murder but with kissing in it, a romantic thriller, if you want, you know, romance but with a whole lot of sex in it, you can read an erotic romance. There's so many vast subgenres of romance, but I think what trips people up is not knowing what they're looking for. There's your closed door, there's your steamy romance, which is I'm looking at this post that Zoe York put up, which kind of defines what those different classifications are. Your steamy romance is open door heat with explicit language. And I think most of us that write romance, like Black romance, fit in there. There's your Christina Jones, your Alexandra Warren, your D.L. Whites, your Danielle Allen. We all kind of play in there. There's your spicy romance, which is more heat on the page. And it says maybe transgressive. I don't know what transgressive means, but it's going to be more sex than a regular romance, but not erotica because it still has a plot. So, okay. And then there's your smut, which is everything feels horny. They are burning for each other from page one. There's a lot of sex in it. That's more like your erotic romance, I would think, is your smut. But it's not erotica because it has a plot. So, and then erotica has no plot. It's just sex. So, I'm just looking at the comments. Yeah. So I think the spice level really trips people up a lot.
Well, I see that. I can see how that would be a problem, but like you said, if it's, I guess it's if it's more well known, the names in those categories, because you said a few names. I said, I know that name, or I've heard about that. So I feel like if you follow the right content creator who discusses romances, then you're more likely, I feel like, to get the one that's in the right level that you
need, or just ask somebody or read some reviews. I just feel like people want to be spoon-fed information instead of just looking it up. There's this big old website called Storygraph. There's this big old website called Goodreads. There's browsers, or you can type in names and look them up. There's there's Bookstagram. Ask somebody.
Ask someone. I feel like that's what you should do when you like I told you before, I was looking for a romance with a female character over 40 years old to fit a prompt in a reading challenge. So I asked Peter, I was like, help me, girl, because I don't know, and so she suggested one. And then when I went to Goodreads and looked at it, I was like, oh my God, everybody I know that reads romance is in here talking about this book, So I think you're right about that. The person should definitely, either follow people on, Goodreads or the Storygraph or other content creators on YouTube and stuff, and just kind of look for the one that actually fits what you really want. So,
yes.
Because otherwise you're going to wind up getting shocked, I guess,
Yes. And we also talked about, like, I know a few people that don't read romance. Robert Justice is in the comments. Pick up his books. He's fabulous. They Can't Take Your Name and Dream in the Dark are fantastic novels. He doesn't read romance, but he will read me. And I feel like trying to guide people that read literary fiction or like sort of, I don't mean this as an insult, but like highbrow literature. And like hearing them say, I'm going to try to read romance this year. And I go, why? Why would you do that to yourself? Because romance is just, it's just a whole different genre. It's wholly different from crime fiction, from literary fiction, from it's different. And it's the promise that romance makes to its readers is that it gives you a soft place to land. No matter what happens between page 1 and page 367, on 368, there's a happy ending. You leave that book satisfied. It might be a Kennedy Ryan novel and she gonna take you through it. She gonna take you through it, but at the end of that novel, you are going to be satisfied.
Okay.
And I feel like when if you read a lit fic, you don't know how that's going to end.
No, you
It
don't.
might end sad. It might end happy. It might end kind of like, what was that? What happened? What happened there? There's little promise to the reader when you're reading broad, like a literary fiction, a general fiction. When you are reading genre fiction, if you are reading a crime fiction, and the murder is not solved at the end of the book,
Yeah.
that's a problem.
Yeah, that is a
If you
problem.
are romance fiction and you are not like kicking your feet in the air and squealing happy about what happens at the end of that book, that's a problem. I feel like people that are reading literary fiction or general fiction understand romance because they feel like they don't get the point. They don't understand the point of reading romance because you already know how that book is going to end. You already know what's going to
There's a
happen.
little bit of that, and I think there's also this idea that they feel like it's quite formulaic. That
Yes.
it seems to be very predictable as they go along.
Yeah, it can be. It can be. And
I
because
feel like it could be,
romance readers want that.
I don't think it has to be, though. I mean,
It doesn't.
Even though the ending, as you say, is going to be a happy ending, to get there doesn't necessarily, in my opinion, have to be formulaic. I think that depends on, what you're doing with your characters and what you're trying to, to show in the story. So
Agree.
I feel like maybe, yeah, maybe it could be a little bit of jealousy at the end of the day because it is a genre that is very popular and brings in a lot of money.
I think the best writers do a lot of work in that middle part, in between A meets B and A and B right off into the sunset. The best writers do a lot of work in that middle part. I think Beverly Jenkins is the best to ever do it because I don't think I have read any of her books and been like, I already read this. I kind of already read a book like this.
Okay.
Her books are so, and maybe because they're historical and some of them are a little bit of a retelling, but like her book, like her catalog is just amazing to me.
Yeah, it's amazing catalog.
Not just sucking up to it, but sometimes I read contemporary authors and I think this is the same book over and over and over and over.
That's
and
true.
You got to do something different in that middle part. And I feel like sometimes I look at a book and I like, oh, I want to write this. And I feel myself sliding into, I already wrote this. I feel myself sliding into, I feel like lately all my heroines are a little bit the same. Like I'm trying to bust out of that. But also what I find appealing about a modern day heroine are these characteristics. And so I want my heroines to have these characteristics. And so, what are you going to do?
I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Because there are a lot of literary fiction writers that have main characters that resemble from book to book. And it still works because the story is profoundly different each time. Let me go check these comments.
I lost Dee Dee. What is happening?
I don't know what happened. I just got right out of the room.
I was like,
let me see. Let's see. Let's go back up here. Okay, so Rosa said she's reading A Spell of Good Things by Adabami Adebayo, and Everything Is Not Enough by Lola Akimade Akastrom. That's the one that wrote in every mirror is black, I think.
Mm.
And that might be the second part of it. So interesting that romance is popular in an era mired in loneliness. That
Mm.
is that so true. That's
Hmm.
interesting. Um, okay, I think Cher was saying 100% beautifully said to Nicole because it's true. But it isn't something interesting to think about. Robert Justice said, not a romance reader, but if DL writes it, I'll read it. So that's really good. Let's see. Birdie said happily ever after or happy for now, the
Yep.
endings. Let's see. Alba said, I also like Alyssa Cole. I would have abandoned romance if not for Alyssa Cole. Um, Nicole said, I like the few romance I've read, but I'm never in the mood. I add them
Yeah.
to the TBR
In the
though.
mood. Mhm.
Um, yeah, I don't know what happened, Sharon. I don't know. They just blocked me off. I don't know what's going on. It's liking DL more than me tonight. um, yeah, so I don't know. I feel like when you said, oh, people who read stuff like literary fiction and stuff, they should probably just not look at romance. But I feel like romance could be a good place for us to sort of cleanse the palate a little bit. You know what I mean? Because when you read a lot of books that have serious, difficult content that you're reading
Mhm.
and you're reading it too frequently, I
Mhm.
don't think it's a bad thing to, pop on over and get a romance to sort of,
Yes. Yes.
clear out your
Oh,
mind and make
100%.
yourself feel better.
100%. Yeah, I
So
read a lot of crime fiction, and sometimes I'm like, okay, I need a romance. I need a little palate
yeah,
cleanser
you need
here. I need some
something.
happiness, some
Yeah,
joy, some love, because I've been
yeah.
reading a lot of murder. Like, I
Oh,
gotta
a lot of
like
murder. That's really
I gotta
funny.
even it out a little bit, and then I gotta dip over into nonfiction for a minute, and then I kind of roll between different genres. But yes, the palate cleanser,
Yeah.
a romance is always great for a palate cleanser.
Well, that's Teresa and Cher both agree. Great palate cleansers, romance. Now, Nicole
Mm-hmm.
has an interesting question. She said, do y'all think romance feels real to you, or does it even have to feel real? That's an interesting question. I don't know how to answer that, but for people
I
who read
like
romance,
Well, I guess the question is real or realistic.
yeah.
So real is like when I'm reading a book and it starts to play out like a movie in my head.
Mhm.
That is a good book to me. That's a really good,
Okay.
like a well written, like real book to me, like real people, real situations. It just depends on like what you like to read. Like I'm never even gonna know a billionaire. Am I like
Yeah.
that's so not even close to reality to me? But if Stephanie Norris drops a billionaire novel, I'm reading it.
Yeah. Okay.
Lady Diamond writes very affluent people. I ain't never gonna be that
Yeah.
rich. But I'm
Yeah.
reading it.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it depends on what you're in the mood for.
Hmm.
Some romance is just is fluffy. There's no conflict in it at all. It's just people loving each other. Some romance is rife with conflict. Aubrey Penn is always writing somebody with a whole lot going on. Um, but I mean, I like we have said, romance is vast.
Yeah.
Um, I don't think it has to feel real, but there's also a sense of like Brenda Jackson is always writing a 23-year-old with a PhD that is a billionaire, and I'm like,
Yeah, which is
Brenda,
like, no, girl, it's not very
Miss
real.
Jackson,
But here again,
Miss Jackson, come on now, like that's
that's
not
the thing.
realistic.
But you see, that's the thing. I think because I think Alba said, "What do you mean by real?" Well, we mean like realistic is what is I think what Nicole means. But I
Hmm.
mean, I don't even think in some cases romance really needs to feel realistic. I just feel like the story has to be, it has to be good.
You gotta make me believe it.
Yeah, people kind of, I think they have to a certain extent,
Yeah.
they make abstractions of certain things and they focus more on how is this how is this relationship evolving between these people. I think
Hmm.
that's probably what people look at more so
Yes.
than the fact that, like you said, the 20-year-old billionaire who's, some tech, expert or
Right.
something, which is, irrealistic. Um,
Right. Or like I picked up a book once and it was like a billionaire CEO that was falling for the woman that cleans his office.
okay, that's
And I
funny.
was like, no. I put that down real quick. No.
Yeah.
No. That's never her name was Keisha. No. I was like, this is not happening. This is not
Yeah,
happening in
okay.
my Kindle. No.
So there are some scenarios that are no go. It's a no go right from the beginning. Yeah. Okay.
It's highly, highly unlikely. It just doesn't. I'm like that. That
Oh my
doesn't
God,
make sense.
Teresa said that's a Tyler Perry movie.
That doesn't. That doesn't make sense. It doesn't make
Yeah.
sense. Like, make it make sense. Yeah.
So Alba
And
said
some people
sometimes I
love that. Like
prefer.
they love the fantasy of that. They want that. They eat it up. I can't. I
Yeah,
can't
but it's
even.
a fantasy. Here again, that could be in a romance, but as somebody's fantasy inside of the romance novel might work
Hmm.
better than having it as being the main plot of the story.
Yes.
The Alba says sometimes prefer the historical romances because when the romance starts dropping brand names, I feel
Yes.
like chalk on a board. Yeah, like
Yes.
Curtis
There's.
says, I got into romance with reading Kennedy Ryan. Her characters jump off the page and feel like real people we know. Also, she touches on real life issues outside of the actual romance, which I love. There you go.
This book
Kennedy
is a
Ryan.
dream. It is a dream. Oh, I freaking love Real so hard. So hard.
Mm-mm.
The original cover. The new cover looks like a Terry McMillan novel.
Oh,
Which isn't a bad thing, but look at this cover.
yeah.
Anyway, how you go from this to like illustrated? This is gorgeous. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, that's a beautiful cover, actually. Hey, LaShonda, how are you? Welcome. What are you reading?
I
Cher
also
said the
think
best are realistic and make me fall in love with one of the characters, especially if they are flawed and believable. When it is unrealistic, the eye rolls creates distance and you don't get the feels. Yeah.
I think the thing about a historical as well is there's usually an external conflict that's driving the story, and
Mm,
there is a barrier between these characters coming together, like more Beverly Jenkins, but between what is the book? Is it Rebel? It's not Rebel. Rhine Fontaine. I forgot where I was going, but anyway, historical. There's usually an external conflict, like
yeah,
something in the community.
yeah,
It's something that's going on that kind of propels the story, and in the midst of the story, they are falling in love.
yeah. Yeah, there is one though in Rebel. The exterior conflict is this, that main character is supposed to be starting the school for black people. And so
Hmm.
it's in New Orleans and you got the Klan as Roman and all these, the
Yes.
Confederates and all this other
Yes.
mess that's going on. And trying to start
Mhm.
this school and it's so that is kind of like the conflict. But at the same time, she just
Mhm.
met Beck and her and Levesque are just like this in front of each other every time, which is hilarious when you're reading it. But
Mhm.
yeah,
Mhm.
I agree with you. The conflict that's the backdrop of the story. It's kind of
Yes.
driving it, and the romance is like layered on top.
Mhm.
And so
Yes.
you can enjoy the book, and it can turn into a read that's a good read, but it's still
Yeah.
romance.
I always feel like I love a book with sex in it. I don't need it. I love a book with sex in it, but I always need the plot to sizzle as much as the sex scenes sizzle.
Uh-oh, it's bugging.
I'm
We're
here.
having delay. Yeah,
Are we here?
it
Okay.
froze just for a few
Um,
minutes.
um, I need the plot to losing DD again. There we go.
Yeah, it's okay. Keep going.
So
You need the plot.
it's in a book. I like it. But I need to like push the story along. If I skip all the sex in your book and it doesn't make any sense,
Oh,
it's
okay.
erotica.
Okay.
So
Okay. I see where you're going now with that one. Okay, I
yeah.
see what you mean.
I
Yeah,
need
that's
I,
your
like I need
problem.
a really good meaty juicy story. So sometimes like I'm reading and like it's like 8 pages of sex and then 1 page of story. I just need a really good story to push me along. I think the best novels have a really good balance of intimacy between your characters and developing that love story and also pushing your story. If it's just two characters like staring out of the window talking about how much they love that person and why they can't have, I'm so bored with that. Like what else is happening in this story? Like where's your story? I need something like to like really push it along. And so
Mm,
that's why I really love a historical, because there's always something to really push it along. But the best books to me have something external outside of those characters that is really that is the meat of it and is pushing that story along.
yeah. So for someone who has not read romance, but let's say it's a person who reads mostly like contemporary stories, not necessarily literary fiction. So they read more genre like contemporary, thriller, a horror, fantasy. What kinds of what romance authors do you think they should go for to start?
Um, I mean, I guess it depends on like what they're regularly reading. Like if you are a thriller reader
Mhm.
and you're looking to get into romance, I mean, you might want to look at like a romantic suspense. Like Delaney Diamond does an amazing romantic suspense. Sharon C. Cooper does amazing romantic suspense. Iris Bowling. Um, I think it depends on what you're usually reading because you can bridge from your
From
normal
yeah.
genre to romance, and that can be like like your bridge, your doorway, your entry drug into romance,
Mhm.
and then you can kind of fan out from there. But I think some people get into romance by bridging what they are. If you are a fantasy reader, I don't know of any black romantasy or romance fantasy, but like El Penelope, I think, is doing good work. Um, CM Lockhart is writing like some black fantasy. I don't think there's much romance in her novels, but um, you can kind of bridge. She's got like
Bridget.
a little bit in there, but you can bridge a little bit, and then you might be
Mm.
able to like fan out from there. I think those are both like strictly romance authors, but I feel like they're a little bit on the edge.
Okay.
Um, as far as like, I mean, I always have, my usual Rex, my Nia Foresters and Tasha L. Harrison and Delaney and Sharon, Danielle Allen. Like I mean, I could name people all day, but it depends on what you like, what you want to read. Like,
Well, let's
what
let's
you
imagine
move.
it's somebody who reads mostly sci-fi and fantasy, and they want to get into reading romance. Who would you suggest?
I don't read anything close to fantasy. I don't get it. I don't it's not my brain can't
Mhm.
like the speculative Afrofuturism,
Yeah,
sci-fi, fantasy. I
not
don't
really
read
my
any of
thing
that stuff.
either.
Maybe people in the comments might be able to suggest some authors to read if you want to mix your romance and your sci-fi. I don't read any of that.
So, what about somebody like me? What would you suggest I start with?
So I would think uh, would of course wreck myself, but I would
Hmm.
also look for um, books that say they have a romantic element because there's going to be an overarching story with a little bit of romance mixed. For
Okay.
example, women's fiction with romantic elements. The overarching story is the friendship between these three women that have been friends since they were children, and how one mistake kind of does a domino effect on one character's life and it ripples out between her family and her friends. Everybody's
Hmm.
got their own stuff going on. Um, you said you loved a Beverly Jenkins. I think
Yeah, I
a
did.
Jenkins historical is great for a person that reads a lot of literary fiction, historical fiction.
Yeah.
Piper Hughley, Vanessa Riley, Beverly Jenkins, I think are the big trifecta for, if you're for
I need to
people
try
who
more
love that
Vanessa.
genre.
I need to try
Um,
Vanessa Riley. I haven't tried
yeah,
her yet.
I'm not huge on Vanessa. She's a lovely, lovely woman. I like listening to her talk. She's a brilliant, brilliant person. Um, some of her later novels don't really hit with me, but I think her Regency romances fit really well in a
Hmm.
Bev Jenkins, Piper Hughley sandwich.
Hmm.
Um, because I think some of her later novels are more mystery and not so much romance, but some of her other
And
works are
also
more are
more
black
historical
fantasy
fiction, I
romances.
think too, as well.
Yes,
More
and they're
historical
historical.
fiction, not as much well, I'll have to look into her earlier stuff as well to
Mhm.
get the romance part of things.
I
Okay,
think
well,
that you might be able
maybe.
to, like, dive into it if you hit it from the historical angle,
Mm,
like, come around the historical way and
yeah.
then, like, fan out into some of their more contemporary
Hmm.
works, and then you'll just kinda really start falling into, if you like this person, you should read this.
Hmm.
Um, kind of that way. You kinda have to, like, let it build, but, yeah, I mean, you have to start somewhere, and I would start
Yeah.
with what your regular, um I guess what your regular flavor is,
Yeah.
and that would be I think that would be historical. I really
Yeah.
think you would enjoy Miss Bev's entire catalog. I think she would you would do
Yeah.
it. If you want, like,
Well,
a
like I told you, I
contemporary, I don't know.
one of them on my Kindle. It's a trilogy,
Mhm.
and then I have two of yours as well. Um,
But, like, in authors like, I think Reel would be an excellent if you like audiobooks at all. Reel on audio is
okay,
absolutely a masterpiece. Like, I would always recommend people listen to the audio of Reel because she put her foot in that book. It's
that's
so good.
Kennedy Ryan.
Kennedy Ryan. I love anything by Tia Williams. I just adore it. Like, if you want, like, a fun novel, The Perfect Find is a super cute novel. Um, that's my favorite from her. But, like, what's the one she just put out?
Got a long title. I don't remember it, but I know what you're
Name
talking
of
about.
it totally just fell out of my mind. Um, y'all, what's Tia Williams' new one?
I know what it is. It's long. I can't remember it though, but I know what you're talking about.
The title just fell out of my, but it's so good. It is really, really good. And it is a romance, but it's a dual, I think it's a dual time period. And she does that very well. A love song for Ricky Wilde. It's so good.
Oh, okay, yeah,
So good. And it's not a swoony Harlequin romance. I feel like it is a very it's like like more of a realistic dual time period romance. I think if you look for authors along that vein, the Kennedy Ryan, the Tia Williams, the who else writes? Uh, mm, I can't really think of anybody else that's writing in that vein, but similar authors are probably going to get you a more meaty romance with really powerful external conflicts, as opposed to a lot of smut based recs. Like Alexandra House can write her tail off. Her books are fun,
That's what
but
I hear.
I don't feel like you would enjoy Alexandria House because it's a different end of the spectrum as far as romances go. I mean, you might try one, but I would say they're heavier on the sex. The story is still good. I can
Mhm.
skip the sex and still get a good story.
Okay,
But
so that
the
means there's still
draw
there's
with her
something
books
there.
is the draw with her books is the sex.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, I always listen to when Peta is talking about her romance. I just listen because I think it's fun to listen to her talk about them, and I can really tell when she has really enjoyed them and when
Mhm.
she has not. And she often talks about Alexandria House, so
She's
I
a
kind of
fun
knew.
read. I've read all of her books. She is I think the Romeo books are a little bit more serious than the pure romance books, but she's a fun read. I think
So,
her books are fun.
which one do you think I would be interested in from Alexandria House?
I would do maybe Teach Me. Um, I really liked Teach Me, and then she has a book. What's the Dishaphilia? Um, the Three Sisters. My brain is Swiss cheese. I turned 50 and I can't remember a darn thing. Um, the Three Sisters is probably my favorite series from her, aside from, oh gosh, I can't remember anything today, but
Okay, the Three Sisters
uh,
is Alexandria House.
I'm gonna have to look it up.
Uh,
I can never remember anything like offhand. I have to look everything up.
yeah, I'm the same.
Um,
Yeah, I read the Secret Lives of Church Leaders. It was fantastic. I wish she
yeah,
would write something else. Disha,
I think she's got something coming.
come on, Disha.
Uh, the computer's running super slow.
Okay.
Um, the McLean Brothers series I really liked, and the Strickland sisters. Now, the Strickland sisters is just pure fun. It's not a deeply literary, serious series. They're just fun reads. I would say the McLean Brothers is a little bit above the Strickland sisters, but all fun. Um, I think Teach Me would be a good place to start.
Okay.
Um, I'm looking through.
Alba said
I've read
she
almost.
really
I've read
liked
almost
your
everything.
she really liked your Pearl at Black Diamond, a
Yeah,
workplace romance.
the workplace romance. That is part of the Black Diamond Bay series. I just made up an island off of the coast of Texas, sort of a cross between Galveston and the San Juan Islands. Yeah, so it's just like a little man-made island off of there that's kind of exploding, and it's highly black. And
Mhm.
the Pearl is a resort and residence on the island, and my characters live on the property and work together. So
Okay.
that's fun. That's a fun one.
Okay.
Hello, Kay. It's my friend Kay the reader.
Hey, welcome. Happy Valentine's. Happy Love Day, Kay.
Happy Love Day.
Yeah, we're saying happy love day.
It's me, Kay.
Yes, there's DL. Oh my goodness. Um, so let's talk about your writing. So how do you get inspired? Like, do you just kind of go to sleep and then you wake up and you have this idea in your head and you just immediately want to sit down and write about it? Or is there a lot of plotting and drudging through and a lot of difficulty when you're writing? Or is it flows?
I'm not really a plotter. Like I will get ideas, but I have to let them cook. I gotta
Okay.
marinate in it.
Yeah.
I'm very much I don't know if anybody has ever done the Gallup or Clifton strengths, but they're all the rage in author circles. Everybody wants to know what are your top 5 strengths. My strengths are very internal, intellection, input, relator. So I'm very inside my head, especially when I have a new idea.
Mhm.
Some of like my full length novels might take me 6 months to a year to write because I need to think about it. Like I get an idea,
Yeah.
but like what what does it matter? I
Yeah.
rarely get an idea and then just sit down and start writing because I don't know anything about it yet. I might write down if I get a title or like a really good name I want to use or an occupation I really like. I might like write that down, like start a file. And
Mhm.
then once I start getting good ideas, I open a Pinterest board. The only thing I ever really use Pinterest for is
Interesting.
I do profiles on my books. So
Mhm.
almost a lot of my books have my inspirations for my hero, for my heroine, parts of their lives, where they live, what do they drive, what's their cologne fragrance, what's their personal style, what books do they like to read, do they live in an apartment or a house, what kind of car do they drive, a Jeep or a Range Rover or an Audi or a Honda,
Mhm.
Toyota, what do they, like, because those things like shape a
Yeah.
person, those things speak to a person, it makes them real in my head. What's their middle
Yeah.
name, who are their siblings, who are their best friends, like these are things that start building in my brain. And if I get an idea and it builds enough for me to open up a Pinterest board and I start like building that out, that's kind of a sign to me that that book could take off, like not like right away, but I feel like to me the story really has to come to me. I need to know who these people are,
Yeah.
what do they want, why can't they have it, how they gonna get it.
Yeah.
Until I know those things, I can't really start writing. And they come to me in pieces. I'm a discovery writer, so
Yeah.
I don't really discover the story until I have started writing it. So I might just sketch out what I've got. Like after months of like pulling together stuff, I might just sketch out what I've got, and then I just let it sit.
Yeah. Okay.
I got to marinate in it. I got to think about it, let it develop. And then over time, it starts to take over my brain. And then I can't think of anything else. And I know I have to start writing when I know how I want it to end. And like, not exactly, but like, I know what I want the end result to be, but I might not know how my characters get there. And it's a romance. So obviously I want them to be together, but how do I want them to be together? At
Yeah.
what point is their relationship
Mhm.
when this book ends? And sometimes I gotta kind of work backwards from the
Yeah.
end to the beginning. How do we get there? So I'm never gonna be a person that can sit down and just shoot out a book real quick. I'm
That's kind
getting
of hard.
better at it. I'm getting better at it. I started the book that I released today. I started writing at the end of December, beginning of January. So, but it's real short.
Mm.
And so like my full length novels take quite a bit of time to develop and then about 3 to 6 months to write.
Okay. So are you one of those people that writes every day and like gets up in the morning and writes, or
No,
you
I
just
don't.
write when you're ready?
Not a morning writer. Well, I am. If I can see the light at the end of the tunnel, I will write every second I get until I'm done. But I don't reach that point for months on. I'm normally I work a full-time job. So, and my job requires me to be alert, awake, concentrated. I can't sleep through that job. So, all my concentration Monday through Thursday is usually on the job. Now, I can edit during the week, but I can't really write during the week because I can't concentrate long enough to really get into it. So I will write Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday, Sunday. Now Sundays I do my podcast, so there's not a whole lot of writing, but if I can get it done early, get myself a little rest, get myself a little food, and I'm working on something, I'm actively working on something, I can get into that document on Sunday night. But like Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday, I'm usually writing. And then 2 hours, 2 to 4 hours. I'm not an 8-hour writer unless I know I'm close to the end, and then I can be in that document all day, 8-10 hours. Before I know it, at 6 o'clock, I ain't ate all day because I can see I'm almost done. I can see the end of the tunnel, the light at the end of the tunnel. But normally I would take months long breaks between books. Like I know writers that finish writing book A on Friday and Sunday afternoon they're starting a new book. And for me, that doesn't work. I need a break. I need a break.
Well, I feel like that would make sense that you would need a break.
Yeah.
Some people
I
just
can't
really good at writing. Yeah, they write a lot, but now it doesn't mean because you write a lot that it's actually really good though either. So but do you need like a particular atmosphere to write? Like, do you need specific things? Like, do you need a candle or some music in the background, or you need silence? Do you need
lately I like I like these lo-fi channels. I'll do like a hip hop lo-fi.
Yeah.
It's no words, just music,
instrumental,
beat. Yeah. I light a candle because I'm a candle girl. I will burn a candle all day. So I light a candle. I can write in the morning, I can write at night, I can write in the afternoon. I have to be awake. I can't be sleepy. So I'm more apt to write in the morning or right after a nap. If I know I got to write later, I might take a nap so I can be fresh. I can't be hungry, but I can't be too full because then I'm sleepy. So I will usually have a beverage, some like water, or lately I've been doing like Minute Maid fruit punch, 0 sugar with Sprite Zero to give it a little kick. Or I'll do like a little bit of Crystal Light in my water. It needs to have like a little flavor. A little something to wet my whistle, a little something to snack on, sometimes popcorn, Skittles. I always have a bag of Skittles. When I know I'm going to write heavy, I have a big, like a family share size bag of Skittles that I do not share. It's just me. I share it with my characters. That's kind of, I always have a little something to snack on. And then I just go. I need to know where I'm going. And I also like to read a little bit before I write. I call it foreplay. I need to like kick open my brain a little bit. I am a person that I have to read in order to fill my well. Like my creative well has to be full. So if I'm gonna write romance, I want to read romance. And then after I'm done writing, I pull up a thriller and I call that dessert. So I don't get to read any Robert Dugoni or Kendra Elliott or anything thriller-y until after I've written. Because then that's my reward for writing is reading a thriller. So it's I like to set the mood a little bit.
Are you
typing? Always typing.
Okay.
Always typing. Yeah, my brain moves faster than my fingers, and so I get upset if I try to handwrite. On very rare occasions, I will take notes in a notebook, but I'm not the type of person to flip through a notebook. So I do have files like in the notes app in my phone. And in a notes app in iCloud, I've got, you know, a file for every book, and I have like my social media ideas and book quotes and links and all that stuff. I keep all that in a file in my phone and in the computer. I'm not really likely to take hand notes.
Okay, cool. All right, Kay has a question. She says, "Do you ever take vacation days to write if there's just something you have to get out of you?"
Yes, not often, but I get a lot of vacation days, and I like to use them all because we can't roll them over. So every so often, like if I know I have a book coming on X date, I will take some Fridays off just so I can have all day to write. I like to treat my vacations as writing retreats, so that way I can deduct them on my taxes. So like if I always go away for my birthday, it's always a writing retreat. I always am going to go away for Memorial Day, Labor Day, 4th of July. I'm always going somewhere. It's always a writing retreat or an editing retreat or a brainstorming retreat. So I'm especially since I really like going to a beach, and that's where I really write best. I'm always thinking about writing or finishing a book on a vacation. I will do sometimes if I'm like, I got to get my mind around the story, I will take a couple of days off and book myself a hotel here in the city and do a staycation. Back when I had gobs of Marriott points, that's what I would do. That's how I wrote Brunch at Ruby's. I would use my Marriott points and book a hotel. I lived alone, but I would book a hotel every weekend for like months and write from Friday night to Sunday afternoon when it's time to check out. And then I would edit all week. And then on Friday, book a room, check on in at the Marriott and get to work. And that's how I wrote that book. Because if I am at home,
Yeah.
all the things I could be doing keep me from
Distraction.
writing the book.
Distraction.
Yes,
But I mean,
I'll be like,
that's a
yes,
known thing, that distraction being at home.
right.
You know,
I
you
never
say,
want to
"Oh, I
fold
could be
laundry
doing this.
until
I
I have
could
to
be
write.
doing that. The phone is
Yeah.
ringing. This, that, and the
Yes.
other." You know. So
Oh, let me do this just real quick. Let
yeah,
me. Oh, there's a basket of laundry. Yeah.
yeah.
And if
And
I
then
am not
then
at
you're right.
home, there's nothing to distract me from writing if I'm not at home. So
Okay, Lashonda has a question. She says, "Which of your books slash series would you recommend to someone picking up one of your books for the first time?" She said, "I
um,
came in late. Sorry if that I was already covered now."
that is all right. I don't mind talking about my books at all, and I can't find the book I want to recommend. I it's somewhere. I always recommend people start with Brunch at Ruby's
I think I have that on my
because
Kindle.
not only because it's my debut, but because it's my favorite out of all of the books I've written. I still really love Brunch at Ruby's. It's also it's a nice entry point because it's women's fiction with romantic elements. So there is romance in the book, but it also has an overarching story. So I think people really enjoy Brunch at Ruby's. There's a book club actually reading Brunch at Ruby's right now. I'm very excited to talk about the book with them. And then Ruby's has a follow-up that is capital R romance. It's a cross-class romance called Dinner at Sam's. And so that sort of is the slide into the rest of my novels because the rest of my novels are pure romance.
Okay, does somebody have another question? Trying to see if I can find it.
Lashana says her library has Reel on audio. It is so good. It is a masterpiece. It is. I got nothing done because I think Kennedy released Real, and then Tia Williams released 7 Days in June. They were like back to back. I got nothing done those days. Absolutely nothing. All I was doing was reading those books.
Brunch at Ruby's.
Yep, those my
Mhm.
girls. I'm actually getting ready to do a 10th anniversary hardback edition of that novel. I'm very excited about it. 10th 10 years since I released that book. Life has changed a lot.
And here's the other one, Dinner at
Dinner
Sam's.
at Sam's. Yep.
There you go.
Here's my girl Vanessa.
Yeah. So I have
Yeah,
those booted
I'm
up.
pretty.
All right. So let's see. Does anyone else have any questions? Yeah, I love the covers too. I think they're very well done.
Thank
How did you
you.
go
I do
about
my own
that? Did
covers.
you do your own covers?
Hmm.
Wow. So is the woman in the picture somebody you know, or how did you do that?
It's a stock image. It's from like
Oh, it's a
probably
stock
Deposit
image.
Photos or
Because
Pixabay
that's a
or
good stock image because I don't think I've seen it before. So that's really good. You must have looked far and wide for it because
stressful. Looking for stock images is stressful.
because
Yeah.
some of them you see them all the time on 5 different books. It's like crazy.
Yeah.
They don't even
Yeah.
try to find one that's different. They're like, oh, just pull the first one out they see. These are
Well,
really good.
sometimes it's the best one because there's a lot of stock imagery out there that isn't very good. Like
I
why would
know.
I even what would I use this for?
So is there going to be a book 3 to the series?
Well, that's a very
Oh,
good question, Dee Dee. I don't know. I
you don't
have been
know.
writing book 3. I have been writing a follow-up to Brunch at Ruby's since that book came out. It hasn't really gone anywhere. I do have ideas for a book 3. We might see one, we might not. I also have my first foray into a romantic mystery. That's the book that I want to come out in the summer. It's called Missing Persons, and it is based on a character from Dinner at Sam's, like a minor character from Dinner at Sam's, who is a
Mhm.
private investigator that Gibson, who is the hero in that novel, hires to look up Vanessa's ex-husband. Um, so I have that started. It's like it's written, but it really needs editing. And one of my coworkers at the day job used to be a police detective. And so he offered to sit down with me and go through that book and like make it a little bit more realistic. The job that he's
Mhm.
in right now, he works with private investigators. And so we're going to kind of go through it. Here's what would make sense. Um, so I'm excited about that one. Hopefully it'll be this summer, and that is kind of in the same universe. It's a Ruby's novel, but it doesn't have Ruby's characters in it. It's just kind of the same universe. So I don't know what to call it. I don't know if it's part of the series or what. I don't know. I'll think about it in the
Sounds
summer.
like it's an
So
annex of the
that's kind of where
series.
I'm going with that. I have though, yeah, an annex. Yeah, I have started another Ruby's book. I haven't got very far.
Okay, so this could happen. Maybe, maybe not.
It could. Never know.
Teresa said she would love a book 3.
Yeah.
Come
So
on
would
with the
I.
book 3.
We'll see. I have started. I have about 8 chapters, but I gotta get past where I'm at. So maybe I don't know. Maybe I'll take some time and dig into it.
Oh, Lashonda said, we know if we see a bag of Skittles, something's brewing. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, well.
Yep. I always buy Skittles when I'm about to write. Skittles or jelly beans. Lately it's been jelly beans, but I do have a brand new bag of Skittles over there, so something's gonna
Uh-oh.
be coming.
Something's brewing. Something's brewing. Okay. Does anybody have any more questions? This is your last chance to ask anything you want of DL tonight, this afternoon for you guys, tonight for me. Uh, hey, Curly Q. Oh,
No hurry, Lashonda. The books aren't going anywhere.
yeah, I know. They're not going
She
anywhere.
said
They're,
she's
they're
going
there.
to catch up, but the books aren't
They're there.
going anywhere.
Does anyone have anything else to ask? If nobody has anything else to ask, we're gonna stop here and stop for the evening or for the afternoon, and I will see you guys all next week for another Friday Reads Live. Of course, Read So Listen.
Yay. This was fun. Thank you for
It was
inviting
a
me.
lot of fun. I learned a lot of stuff about romance. I've even got, I think I might even try a few things. You'll know. Because I think we should, branch out and read more things. I really can't branch out on the fantasy and the sci-fi. I have difficulties in that, but I think I could branch out into the romance. Willing to, give it a go, try a few things, and see where it takes me. Because a good palate cleanser, there's nothing wrong with that. You know,
Right. Right.
especially when we know it's
Let us
going
know.
well.
Let us know how it goes.
Wait, Alba says I'm going to rewatch. Oh, she's going to rewatch and she's going to mark everything down. Yeah, definitely. No problem at all. Yeah, okay. I love the chat. Okay, great. So I'm glad you guys enjoyed this. Yeah, if you want to do the playback and get all of the, because she's named a lot of different romance writers that might you might be interested in trying out if you didn't know them. So you can just quickly play back. Don't forget, I put all of her information down in the description box if you want to go and check out her YouTube and her website.
Yep.
And have a lovely Friday and an excellent weekend. And happy Love Day. Bye.